Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Better Call Saul Season 6, Episode 7, Plan and Execution. This video is part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Better Call Saul. So I have to start with a spoiler warning for Better Call Saul up to Season 6, Episode 7. If you have not seen up to this point, you will not want to watch this video, otherwise some things may be spoiled for you. So this was the mid-season finale of the final season. We have a couple months break, and then we come back with the final 6 episodes. So I was expecting a kind of season finale type feel to this episode for it to go out with a bang. And it most certainly delivered on that, like more in a more literal sense than I had thought. Yes, so I was very pleased with this episode indeed. Maybe the only thing that bothers me about it is that it ended on such a big cliffhanger. I saw those credits coming, but I knew they were coming, but I was like, no, please don't cut the credits. I need to see what happens next, and I gotta wait 2 months. Well, maybe a month and a half is more accurate, but still it feels like forever. I gotta wait to find out what happens with a good old Saul and Kim seem to be in quite the pickle. So, this episode starts with the scene of Lalo messing around in the sewers, and at first, I wasn't sure what was going on. I still don't really. Someone else probably would get it, who has a more keen eye, but I didn't get to deal with the timer. Why he went to a store and set a timer and then went back. Maybe you say he's only allowing himself a certain amount of time out of the sewers, like he needs a break from the sewers. Maybe, I don't know, but he has his own little bunk there. So he's watching Gus Fring's laundromat, where he knows that the lab is, and he has a huge plan to take Gus down. But yes, that was interesting, and we see later that he is video recording himself a message for Don Ilario. He's done dealing with Juan Bosa, because Juan Bosa, he figures he's an earner, so he's more concerned about he wants Gus Fring to be on the up and up, because he's making him money, which is quite ironic, seeing as in Breaking Bad, Gus Fring is responsible ultimately for Juan Bosa's death. It does make me want to go back and watch the relevant Breaking Bad episodes again, to see how things go with the whole thing. But anyway, so his plan is to expose what Gus is doing with it. He's basically said, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to kill Gus's guards, and I'm going to take pictures of the lab and prove this is what he's doing. Now, we know that's not what happens, because we know that the cartels actually don't find out about the lab, and they're still working with Gus up into Breaking Bad times. But it's interesting because we don't know what will happen. And then we get the nice little scene where he calls Hector to tell him about what's happening, and while he's on hold, he can hear some clicks. I love that scene. I thought that was fucking amazing. I know from television and other fiction that when you hear clicks like that over the phone, then it's being bugged. And I love how he freaks out, he reacts, he starts stirring shit, and he's very clever chicken man, because he realizes that Gus had Hector's phone line, or the phone line at the nursing home, tapped, and for just a case, and that does seem like something Mike would do. We know that they have a huge net out for Lalo, and so that seems like an obvious thing to tap. And frankly, Lalo should have thought of that, but I don't think it makes his character any less, or it's out of character for him. It's an easy mistake to make, but then he turns it around to his situation and to his advantage and starts feeding. When he calls Hector, he purposely feeds him misinformation, saying, "Oh, I didn't find any proof. I'm going to go kill Gus," which is obviously a ploy that is successful to get Gus to pull all of his men and have them protect him, because they now have the information that he's going to be the target, but clearly he's not going to be the target. It's the way to pull Gus's men away from other positions. So yes, I love this Lalo stuff. Really fascinating. Now I'm going to circle back to that. Let me now move over to good old Saul and Kim. Now, last weekend when I did my review, we saw the inklings of, Saul and Kim working together with an actor to pretending to be this judge, and going to the vet to get this weird thing that makes him itchy and his pupils dilate. And I had no idea what was going on. I when I did my review, I said if you know, you can put it in the comments, and someone actually did. Someone did put in the comments, "Oh well, this is what I think was going on," and they were pretty much dead right. So I kind of knew what was happening because of that comment, which is, I asked for it, so I'm not upset about that. But I do I kind of knew that someone who's sharper at picking up on things than I am would be able to pick up on exactly what they were doing. And in fact, the episode was made that way so that you could figure out what their plan was. I just knew that I couldn't. That they're basically, were making Howard think that Jimmy was bribing this judge when clearly he wasn't, and giving him the stuff that made his pupils dilate and him act all weird so everyone around him would think he's on drugs, because he's freaking out over nothing because nothing's actually happening. But it was really great seeing that actually go down, seeing how the whole thing was executed. What I didn't know was that the private eye that Howard had hired was a plant and actually working for Jimmy. That was interesting information. And of course, later in the episode, Howard explains exactly how that was, that because Howard had figured out exactly how Saul had scammed him. Now, I like the scene that we see him where he's explaining all this to Cliff was really interesting, because Cliff... See, I don't really know if Cliff believes Howard or not. I think Cliff is kind of on the fence. I think he's maybe Howard's telling the truth, or maybe he's a drug addict. But ultimately, I don't think Cliff cares. I think, because that's what he's saying. He's like, I don't care about Jimmy. I don't care about you. I don't care about any of this. What I care about is my client. What I care about is what we need to do to win this case. And so, clearly, they're going to have to settle immediately, which was, and of course, Saul and Kim's plan all along. And it does make sense. Howard's a smart cookie. It makes sense that he could see through all this, but of course he doesn't figure out the entire plan until it's too late. Once it's executed and he starts freaking out, that's when he realizes that he was played like a fiddle. And that Saul's plan was to get the payout as soon as possible. Damn. And it was cool seeing the film students again. How they had to, because there was a last minute snag of the judge having a cast, so they had to pull everyone out at the last second and rush, and that was kind of a fun scene where he was like, "Oh, the film student guys, oh, you can't rush this," and they're like, "Oh, whatever, we gotta hurry up," and Saul literally had to run out with the photographs to get to the private eye in order to get to Howard in time. And so it was fickle, like they were. And then, of course, Kim missed her big meeting, and that's something they didn't touch on very much. Like, Saul was trying to, like, if you leave right now, you can still make your meeting with Kim. Was like, no, this is more important. I need to be here for this. And so they're able to listen in on the phone call during the hearings as this all goes down. And I kind of love how, they're kind of laughing and smiling when Howard starts freaking out. But by the end of it, by the time they announce that, they're going to have to settle, they're already making out. They're already getting it on. And again, this is consistent with Kim gets really lustful whenever they pull off these kind of cons. And this is like one of the biggest one that they pulled off. So she's like completely just turned on by this. So it goes completely in line with what Howard said later in the episode, that they get off on that. Now, let me talk about this scene, because the scene was absolutely amazing. One of the best scenes of the show, I think. This was, I talked about the chicanery episode was the freaking moment for, what's the guy who played Chuck? Famous actor, blanking, brain farting on his name, but you know how I'm talking about. He had that great acting moment. Michael McKean, Michael McKean, he had that great acting moment in the episode of Chicanery when he was freaking out. And then in season 5 in the Bad Choice Road, we had when Lalo was confronting Saul about, the bag and what happened. Kim Rhea Seehorn had her great performance, her great moment, where she was, confronted Lalo and was like, "Why didn't start yelling?" It was like her amazing acting moment in that episode. In this episode, we get, I believe his name is Patrick Fabian, who plays Howard. We get his amazing chicanery moment, his moment of shining, which of course will be his farewell, where he confronts Saul and Kim, and God, it was just such an amazing scene. How he and he makes some good points. I think he absolutely is, because I talked before about how I thought that Howard could be a bit of an asshole, like particularly when we watched season 2 and he was punishing Kim when I really think that she didn't deserve it and that he was being petty. And he's done other stuff, like you could say, oh, it's just Chuck, it wasn't him, but he went along with Chuck, and then he was being a bit of an ass to Jimmy, and kind of pushed him away and pushed him into being more corrupt. So, a lot of people not big fan of Howard, and I've heard some opinions of some people thinking Howard completely deserves this, that he's not really a nice guy. But this scene, you really sympathized for Howard. You saw how, his life was in the toilet, his marriage was falling apart, which is something that I think was portrayed very powerfully. And how he's like, well, why is it, it brings up all these possibilities. Why did you do this to me? Is it because I kicked you back in the mailroom? Is it because because I have it better than you? Is it to take me down a peg? And I think all of his theories are all partially correct. And whether or not Saul or Kim are consciously aware of that, I think he's absolutely, as I said, he's a smart cookie. He's hitting on all these things that are correct, and of course they have to play dumb. They can't admit to doing anything, so they're playing dumb, and he knows they're playing dumb, but they have to, which makes sense. They can't. It would be foolish of them to actually admit what they did to him, but he knows. And I love how, but at one point, the closest Saul comes to admitting it is saying when, Howard's talking about how, they humiliated him. He's like, "You'll be okay, Howard." And that's the closest he comes to admitting it. And Howard's like, "Yes, you're right. I'll land on my feet. I'll be fine." But he talks about all this other shit that he has to deal with, and all this other strain on his life, and how just because he'll be fine doesn't make it okay for them to hurt him like that. Um, so an extremely powerful scene, but then of course gets even more powerful when the candles start to blow, and I love the way this is shot. The filming, cinematography in the show is always the best. How the focus stays on Saul and Kim and their reaction to seeing Lalo before we actually see Lalo, and how they instantly, again, both amazing actors, and how their whole demeanor instantly changed to being terrified, scared out of their wits. They're like, Howard, get the hell out of here right now. And of course, Howard, completely oblivious to this, like, whoa, whatever. Which does show that maybe he's not the smartest cookie, because he should have read the room. He should have seen how their looks instantly changed from being somewhat arrogant and full of themselves to completely scared out of their fucking wits. And I think he slowly starts to pick up on that. And I'm not saying that Howard's an idiot or this is bad writing for Howard. No, it does make total sense, because he's just so in the moment. He's like so pissed off and so invested in what just happened to him that it makes sense that he would miss some very obvious signs, and it takes him a little while to catch up. And then, of course, Lalo's there. And he's, like, talking to Lalo, and Lalo's like, I just want to talk to my lawyers. And he's like, well, you should get better lawyers. And, kind of oblivious. And they're just like, Lalo, Howard, just go. And he's like, no, you don't have to go. Just stay right here. He slowly pulls his gun out and fucking shoots Howard in the head. Oh, my God. Shit. And then, of course, Kim and Saul, of course, start screaming, freaking out. I think, like, Lalo's, like, gesturing them, no, be quiet, because he doesn't want to make a ruckus, and they're terrified of him at the moment. And, again, they played this so well. And then Lalo just turns to him and is like, well, I want to talk to my lawyers, so let's talk. After just shooting someone right in the head, right in front of them. And then it cuts to black, and I'm like, no! What is Lalo's game? I don't know what Lalo's plan, because I thought that he was going to continue his plan with attacking the laundromat, because that's part of him getting Gus to pull everyone away. I thought it was because there'd be less people on the laundromat, so it'd be easier to attack. I don't know what he could possibly want from Kim and Saul, but obviously he wants something. And obviously he's willing to intimidate, to put it extremely mildly, he's willing to intimidate them in order to get what he wants. And now this, I don't know what it is. Maybe someone else has a theory on this. But, I have no idea what Lalo's playing at here. Now, it is interesting to think that when he got Gus to pull all of his men out, Mike, because we get a scene with Mike and Gus, and Mike tells Gus that he has pulled all of his men off of the low priority areas, but not the laundromat. He's like, what about the laundromat? He's like, no, don't worry. I still got, people there. I don't think it was Victor. I think it was the other dude, but whoever. Someone's Tyrese. Yeah, I think Tyrese is still there with his team, and so the laundromat's still secure. So maybe when Lalo got Gus, to pull all of his men back, he was thinking more of Saul, because if it wasn't for that, Mike would still have people watching Saul and they would see Lalo pop up. But because of that threat, because they got Mike to pull all of his men from low priority areas, that included Saul and Kim, that they were probably a low priority, because he didn't think, and Mike even said that to Kim when he saw her. He's like, I don't think he's going to come to you, but I've been on you just in case. And so he doesn't think that's going to happen, but it did. and and so maybe when Lalo got Gus to pull his men out, it was specifically so he could go see Saul. Maybe he knows that trying to attack the laundromat head on is a bad plan. That because, Tyrese is still there with a group of people with guns, and Lalo's just one man by himself. Now, he did manage to take out that fucking strike team that tried to kill him in Mexico very well, but I don't think he'd be fair as well, and he probably knows that that was a riskier thing, so it seems like he has another play in mind that involves Saul and Kim, and so I do wonder if he did specifically misdirect Gus so he could get Saul, because maybe he knew that if they knew they had men on Hector, that they might have men on Saul and Kim as well. Now, why did he kill Howard? Because he had no idea who Howard was. It's just some random guy who was at Kim and Saul's house. So let's look at it from his perspective. He goes to Saul and Kim to enact his plan, whatever that may be, and he sees some random guy there. So this random guy is a witness who sees him, which is no good for him. He can't have a witness. And so he kills them so there won't be a witness, and also to make a point to Saul and Kim to intimidate them, to be like, you gotta do what I say or I'm just gonna kill you too. So I guess when you look at it that way, that was his main motivations. But is it like, how are they going to dispose of the body? How are they going to explain Howard's death? Is he going to force Kim and Saul to like hide the body, and they had to hide the fact that Howard died? No one knows that he's died. Yeah, I don't know. But and it seems like that's just another mess to have to clean up. But I suppose having he thinks that not having a witness is better than having a witness, even if they have to explain why there's another dead body. And obviously, the police are looking for him, so he wants to keep a low profile. And he's going to use Saul and Kim to do it. Now, I still don't know how this fits into the whole it wasn't me, it was Ignacio, did Lalo send you thing from Breaking Bad. So we knew that Saul would have to find out Lalo's still alive for him to have that line in Breaking Bad. And I do like how, it was almost like a ghost appearing, because you can't be here, because he was sure Lalo was dead, and that would shock him even more. And I wonder if Kim is going to apologize to him for, because she knew, and she didn't tell him, because she was hoping it wouldn't come up, and here it came up. And and also how much guilt they're gonna feel because they thought, again, it was like, Howard, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be on your feet, even though they're not the ones who killed Howard. They may feel responsible because it was the con that they pulled on him that led him to go there, and it's because he was there that Lalo saw him and killed him. So, I think they will feel responsible, and maybe it will change Kim's demeanor. Now, how this is going to make Saul become more of the Saul of Breaking Bad, where that Saul is very uncaring, doesn't give a shit about anybody, I'm not sure. He's still kind of a coward. He's still kind of scared of people, but he's more brazen and wanting to break the law. So yes, 6 episodes left, and we still got to deal with the Gene stuff. We got no Gene stuff in this first half of the season. I don't know how they're going to resolve that, and how they're going to bring Saul back up to the Breaking Bad times, or maybe they won't completely. Maybe they'll just imply we can fill in the blanks, which is fine. That's all good. But yeah, everyone's wondering what will happen to Kim. Of course, I'm wondering that, but I'm more of I'm not that interested to speculate. I'm more of the wait and see. Whether or not she's dead, she's alive, she's living somewhere else, she was there the whole time. I'm against that she's there the whole time theory. I really don't think that's the case. I think she either left Albuquerque or she's dead. I think those are the two options. But anyway, 2 months. God, I'll wait 2 months to find out. Anyway, my rating for Plan and Execution out of 10 is a 9. Excellent. Thought about giving this episode a 10, but I don't think it quite reached a 10 because I don't think it got really, really good until that last scene. So I could look at the other 10s of the show, like Bad Choice Road and Chicanery, which I think are the 2 best episodes so far. And those episodes were amazing throughout the entire thing. Well, this one was good throughout don't get me wrong, it was solid, but I don't think it was a 10 until that final scene, so I don't think I can give it a 10, but I will give it a very, very strong 9. Very excellent episode, probably top 10 episodes of this show. I will do one of those eventually once the show ends, but yes, amazing episode, amazing show. Which I'm so angry at for making me wait 2 months. Why would you do this to me? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out my channel and when Better Call Saul returns, because I will definitely cover the ending. Also, check out my channel for many more reviews. I'm currently covering Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I also cover many other old Star Trek and retro Star Trek videos, as well as covering other shows like Star Wars, The Clone Wars, The Expanse, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.